Archbishop Matthew RAWCLIFFE. Please join me and some great guests as we take a journey where I will spread positive and enlightened messages to educate, heal, and help others as we chat about various subjects with the help of God. Tune in every second and fourth Thursdays at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on Paranormal King Radio Network. How you doing, everybody, this week? I got my co-host here, Ron Stokes.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody good.
And we're going to start off tonight like we do in the order. You know, we start off with the St. Michael, the Archangels, prayer for protection, you know, because we do talk about demonology on the show. And so it's something we'll protect ourselves. So here we go. It's name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in the battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do you, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. And we're gonna start and close every show just like we did, and that's just to protect ourselves and our viewers, because of what we talk about.
Protected. We don't want to talk about a whole bunch of things that bring all the heebie-jeebies out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So first on the list, you were wanting to talk about some real demonic stuff.
Yeah, we're going to talk about there's different types of demonic activity out there, and I'm not sure if everybody knows what kind there is. So we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight. And we're going to talk about the two different types. It's ordinary demonic activity, and then there's extraordinary. And then from there, you get into possession and things of that nature. And pretty much ordinary demonic activity is like they'll plant ideas in your head and make people want to do stuff to themselves or others. I don't know, Ron, I know you've experienced things like that, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had to deal with inner manifestations and outward manifestations. It's happened, over the course of 20 years, you get a lot of different things that go on. And being in this business, you are just needing to expect everything to show up. And those inner manifestations are some of the worst because nobody knows what's happening to you. You're dealing with something you think that everybody is actually viewing or listening to or anything happening, interactions with, but it's not actually happening to everybody. It's just happening to you. And that's not good. That's also reasons why the mental illness is completely misunderstood with this entire situation that happens. That is why somebody can automatically say somebody is mentally ill. Specifically,
well, the thing about the mental illness is they go hand in hand. I mean, being possessed can, make it look like somebody's mentally ill, and it's vice versa. I mean, but that's why as an exorcist, we require that, somebody goes and gets a psychological evaluation from an actual psychological professional.
That's right. Psychological evaluation is needed.
For sure.
Aside from your evaluation, it is always good to have one of those backing it up.
Before I even evaluate, I make them have a psychological evaluation first, just so I can have that background from the psychological professionals, from the psychologists and whatnot. Because we talk to them, they'll turn around, they'll talk to us and tell us what their opinion is on the fact. And I've had them come to me and be like, this person, it's not a psychological thing. They're not crazy either, but this is something outside of my realm. They're not crazy. I don't know what's going on. So, and I've had psychologists come to me and be like, yeah, this might be something that you might want to look at.
Yeah. The cases come to you, and sometimes you got to go toward it. It just depends. And we do end up working side by side with psychologists a lot.
Some of them, the ones that'll actually work with us like that.
Yeah,
There's still a lot out there in that profession, and there even in the church, even in my profession as clergy. I mean, there's still some clergy out there that don't.
right.
Either they don't want to, not that they don't believe in it, but they just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, out of all the different types of personalities in the world, there is still some that you would be jumping in towards this field every now and then that try to stay far, far away, just in case.
Although I know clergymen that won't even talk to me because I'm an appointed exorcist.
Me too. Me too. I had some turn me down before getting into contact with you. I had some straight turn me down, and they are in the exorcist world, and that's not good. When you got exorcists that are thinking to themselves, "Well, no, I don't want this one." That's not good. That's never a good sign.
Well, usually, not to like poke on them or anything, but usually the Catholic Church, if they're actually with the Catholic Church, they usually stay within their own. Which you really can't blame them. I mean, being as big as they are.
Nicole has a question. Is it harder to do exorcisms if they are not the same faith? How does one become a demonologist? Mike says.
Is it harder? I mean, it all depends. It all depends. I mean, there's other faiths that it all depends if they would come to us or not. Usually, people of other faiths, and if they're devout, are going to stay within their own faith. You know, they're going to go to their people. Like the Baptists have something called
Deliverance.
Yeah, deliverance. There it is, Ron. I blank on it sometimes. Mine goes blank. Like, what is it? Yep, it's deliverance ministries, and yeah, they have their own thing. So usually, if it's within one's, they're going to stay within their own faith usually.
Yep.
But that's not saying that they're going to.
Yeah. These different faiths have the same exact notion towards those different names of it. They just calling it something different. That's all it is. You got all different faiths that call it completely different things.
And the reason that people push towards Catholics as being the quote unquote exorcists is because of how long the Catholic Church has been doing it. Mainly, not only that, there's a set ritual that the Catholic priests do, and that's been in the Roman rituals for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
That's right.
And Mark Davis, he said, how does one become a demonologist? Well, really, to be honest with you, there is no, I don't care what anybody says, there is no college, there is no classes that you can really take to become a quote unquote certified demonologist. They don't offer it.
And as a priest,
and I've looked. And as a priest, I mean, you got to be selected. I mean, just because, when I started out as a priest, I was doing a ministry outreach for homeless veterans. And I had a archbishop that was a dear friend of mine who just I kind of got bullied into it a little bit. I mean, they were like, you're going to be the new exorcist, right? And I was like, I guess so. And then I followed him around for a couple of years, and one day I just kind of got thrown to the wolves. So here, no, you can do it on your own. You're good now. Yeah, you know enough. Yeah, that's what Archbishop Medega did to me. He just kind of set me out on one and was like, "Nah, you're all right."
It is a calling, Nicole. It is to be a demonologist. I mean, you are actually
anything in this field is a calling. I mean, if you're not called to do something like this, honestly, you're going to have second thoughts and show fear and stuff, and that's the last thing you want to do when dealing with any kind of demonic entity, because they're going to feed off that. Talia's on, Ron.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
that's our secretary.
Archbishop. Yep.
She just get mad. She just get mad at me now because I threw her under the bus.
In the S.P.I.R Demonology department, Archbishop's always going to throw you under the bus. You're first to get thrown under the bus. We think this is not exactly just a ghost in this house. Oh, well, go ahead.
I don't know. Send Talia and Ron. They'll figure it out.
Yep.
We laugh, but that's really what I do, people. I mean, people call me, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me send my people out there to you. And I call up Ron, and I go, hey, Ron, go check this out, and I hang up on him.
That's right. That's right. Keyboard's haunted. That happens when you're talking about stuff like this. You know, you got malfunctions of computers and everything.
Earlier, my microphone wouldn't work, and
That
it was making me mad. I kept saying I was muted, but I wasn't muted, and I don't know. I just restarted the program.
30 minutes before the show, guys. So had to jump in, get them something right. So, with everything on the first of affected people that you're dealing with, Archbishop, what are the mental changes of the affected person, most especially that happen? I mean, I'm talking about the 9 out of 10, not.
Oh, you're talking about special stuff.
Not the entire page, but 9 out of 10 times that people have mental changes.
Not only have mental, but there'll also be physical changes to them as well. I mean, sometimes you'll see people go long periods of time without blinking their eyes. And I'm not talking about a minute or two. I'm talking like
The trance.
long time. I'm talking like you're staring at them for like 20 minutes and they don't blink.
Yeah.
Like a fly lands on them, goes across their eye, and they still don't blink type stuff. You know what I mean? That's the Hollywood stuff, as we would say, but in real life. Yeah. Because, you know, Hollywood doesn't get everything wrong, but they just go overboard with it.
And tell everybody out there in radio land about the shark eyes.
Oh, they seem like, that's what I like calling them too. I do call them shark eyes. Sometimes, honestly, if somebody's possessed, and I've seen it, where their eyes will look like they're totally black. Like, you know, when actually, if you look at like these TV shows, like when they say someone's a demon in a TV show and they look at them, they got black eyes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking about with the shark eyes. And that actually, I've actually seen that happen a few times. Yeah. Actually, it'll really creep you out the first time you see it.
That's right.
Now, not only that, but another physical changes are like they'll seem he or she could, you know, could appear catatonic, or they could like know and speak a language. I'm not talking about a little bit, like fluently, but a language that there's no way earthly possible that they should ever know. Like the one time that I had during an exorcism, I wasn't the exorcist, but I was assisting. We had an 11-year-old girl who wasn't Catholic. His family wasn't Catholic. They had never been around Catholics. Spoke to me in Aramaic and told me some stuff about myself that there's no way that family ever should have known because I wasn't even from that country.
Why do you think Padre Pio was constantly under attack?
Because he was one of the great exorcists at the time. And to be honest with you, they attack priests a lot more, especially exorcists, than regular people because we're more of a trophy.
And plus, I mean, you're the one that's constantly going after them. You know, they usually pick on who they're getting picked on. You know, if we're going over and seeing a whole bunch of demons trying to take over somewhere, the Archbishop has to step in and deal with them. Chances are,
I'm not going alone for one.
Right.
I'm gonna bring other than I'll bring like maybe Ron, my lead exorcist, my lead investigator, but 9 times out of 10, I won't even bring Ron. I'm going to bring 2 other priests with me.
Yeah.
And that's not a cut on Ron or anybody else. That's just being safe.
It's the way it's supposed to be, man. Priests.
Actually, in the Roman rituals, you're not supposed to bring anybody else other than it'd be an exorcist, a priest, and sometimes a nun. Because believe it or not, nuns have a lot more power than people think they do. I mean, nuns are the ones that teach all of us. I mean, if you think back at all the Catholic schools and a lot of the teachings, it was nuns teaching.
That's right. And Kenneth Holden has a question. Holden, have any psychics ever been on an exorcism case with you?
No.
No.
And anybody that's any kind of mind stuff, I'm usually not going to bring with them because they're easily what do you say? They're more easily possessed than others because they can cross that veil and whatnot.
If you're going in and doing occult or magic rituals of any sort, you are left susceptible towards a righteous battle. And
100%. Because if you're anything with the occult, you're not protected.
Yeah. You have to be a priest to fight this stuff off. It does not just happen so easy. Not everybody can walk.
And I'll tell you this: just because we go to an exorcism doesn't mean that we're going there and in 5-10. No, it's not. Usually, I mean, I've had times where it's happened over months. Like, that's not just one exorcism. I mean, we've had to stop where we were at during war. Oh, you finish the rite every time. You finish the rite completely, but that could take hours. But then after that, instead of starting the rite over, sometimes we'll take a break. A couple days later, come back, do the rite again, and so on for months, sometimes years. I know there's times where, in Italy, they've had people 5-10 years and never be liberated.
Yeah, a lot of the times, it really depends. If they want you, particularly you, for how strong you are, they dig in with all claws, and every time.
And to be honest, if they truly want somebody, unless you're, I mean, you could be powerful as you want, but truly, we're when it comes down to it, we're human. So truly, when it comes down to it, if they really want us, they're eventually going to have us. I hate to say it like that, but it's just the truth.
It's a battle that you have to make. And
I mean, me as an exorcist, I mean, there's a lot of things that I got to do. And
you imagine this off for like 60 years straight, man.
I mean, there's times it takes me, to be honest with you, most times, especially if it's like a hardcore case, it takes me like a week or more to get ready for it. I mean, I got to do confession, take communion. I got to do all kinds of different rituals and
start
fast. We do full day fast, which is considered from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You have nothing. Well, you can technically during the fast, you can have one meal during the fast, and you can spread that meal out through the day if you want. But if I fast, I usually don't take the meal. I usually do a true fast, and I don't take anything.
So where do you think the most demonic cases are?
When she asked, do you think there's more in Italy? Honestly, I don't really think there's more in Italy. I've been to Italy. I've studied there. There's not really more there, but they are more, as you would say, open to it. So, like we're here, if you go tell somebody you're possessed, 9 times, let's be honest, probably 7-8 times out of 10, you're going to get looked at like you're crazy. Or if somebody in your family goes to somebody and say you're possessed, you're going to get looked at like you're crazy. It's just how it is in the United States. I don't know why. It's just how it is. Italy, and you got to think about this. There's more. In Italy, pretty much the Catholic religion. It's pretty much the only religion.
I've noticed the United States, our people, we turn a blind eye towards this thing a lot faster, and we all act like we're just used to it. It's like, seeing a gang beat down in the middle of New York, walking by on a sidewalk, like it's just expected after that.
Well, you got to think about it, Ron. In Italy,
situations like this.
Ron, you got to think about it though. In Italy, they don't really have all these other religions like we do in the U.S. Italy's predominantly Catholic.
Right.
Let's be honest. Right. But let's say I'd be safe to say if 75, if not 85% of the people there are predominantly Roman Catholic. And then in the Roman Catholic tradition in Italy, I mean it's taught, especially in the Roman Catholic Church. I mean they have church masses that are actually for exorcism.
That's right.
And we don't do that over here.
It's just because they're ready. They want to do it. Just out.
That's where the Catholic Church resides too. So that's what you got to look at. I mean,
there's a lot of places in the U.S. though. For some reason, we're just turning our blind eye towards helping out somebody that says that they're in that situation. They want to think that they're crazy first and foremost.
Yeah, or they're seeking attention. A lot of that has to do with these movies. Honestly, I blame Hollywood for that. Honestly,
I get it. I understand that 100%.
And yes, Talio's right. Emily Rose was a true story. And yes, they did try to prosecute that priest.
Yeah.
They try to prosecute him for actually murder, I believe.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, you can do an exorcism on a house, but it's not an exorcism per se.
Your blessing house.
It'd be a house blessing, but there's a type of exorcism, quote unquote, that you could do on a house, but it's not really an exorcism, as we would say.
It's more
because an exorcism is done on a person.
Yeah, it takes it from being a personal problem towards a land problem. Like I've had cases where Indian demonic has taken over.
And there's nothing I can do for that. Something like that, you're going to want to go to the Indian. You want to go to Indians and talk to the. You'd have to talk to the chiefs first, and then they would bring you to their shaman or medicine man, and those are the type of people to deal with that, honestly, because there's nothing that I could do for anything on Indian land. It's going to laugh at me in my face and keep doing what it was doing. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's because I've gone through that before. I've actually had that happen.
What subject line it is on, you know. Indian problems, you'll need somebody that's more based in tune with the Indian education, you know, making sure that you're grabbing the right person to even do stuff like that.
To be honest with you, the Indians are more open to all this than we are, because they believe in all kinds of different stuff among the earth. So
yeah, rituals 500 years ago that make people's jaws drop.
When we were talking about mental changes, Ron, that also like other things, the way they change and the way they dress, or they could like be a change in their personal hygiene, like people not having a good hygiene, as we would say. You know, they could become abusive or threatening for no reason. Like, say all of a sudden your sweet grandmama is chasing you around the kitchen with a knife. Might want to look at your grandma. Or and I hate to say it like this because this is why people look at me weird, and I get those weird looks. But people come and this, I always hate to say it because I'm gonna get somebody's gonna say something as soon as I do, and I know they are. Somebody becomes sexually preoccupied, like yeah, Ron, you know what question I'm talking about, because we actually have that on our question here.
I felt that. Let's see. Can a demon be a human that once lived despite the definition?
No. Demons have never, ever lived on this earth as a human, ever. Never.
Angels and demons.
And then, and another swap, that an angel has never been a person. People don't turn into angels. People turn into spirits.
Yep. That's the issues right there. You're dealing with something that never walked the earth as a person. It has been an entity all of its existence, and it's coming for you.
And that's why a lot of times that like demonic entities that's why when somebody like was possessed or whatnot, there's always something that seems not quite right with them. Or if you see an actual demonic entity itself, it might look like a human, could possibly sound like one, but it's just something not right. Something's just quite isn't right about it. You can always tell something's off, and that's because they've never been a human before, so they don't know how to act as a human or be one.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to exist like that. You can't expect to talk. What are your opinions on paranormal groups that people with abilities accessing the spirit realm to assist with exorcisms? Well, that can bring problems.
It all depends on what you're doing, but anybody that's doing an exorcism that isn't clergy, that is a problem within itself, really. Because I'll tell you right now, I've had people ask me if I could get them books, and I'm just like, are you clergy? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, no. And I'm not trying to be mean or say we're better. I'm better as clergy. I'm better than anybody or not. No, I'm someone to the person. But we say that because when you open the first page, when you open this book for anything, it says for use by priests only.
That's right. You better be a priest.
And mainly that is because one, how we live our life. Two, what we do. I mean, being a priest isn't a part-time job.
And think about the consequences.
You do something, you could say a prayer that doesn't belong to there, and you could actually make something stronger.
Yeah, that usually is.
Or it could jump from them to you because, oh, you think you liberate them, but really in actuality, they left there and they were looking for another source and they attached themselves to you instead. Because you didn't do what you're supposed to do before going into doing said quote unquote exorcism. Because I don't just like wear my regular police clothes and go hoppy doppy up in there like, oh, I'm gonna do an exorcist today. Nope. There's actually things I have to wear. There's things I have to do, and there's things I have to bring with me.
Yeah.
And there's things I gotta do to the house before I even leave there. And that's to protect not only myself and my people that work in my office and whatnot, but to protect my family as well.
Being paranormal and asking people with abilities, accessing the spirit realm to assist with exorcisms, that can be very dangerous. The paranormal groups aren't supposed to be handling that, and neither is people that just want to access the spirit realm to assist.
And usually an exorcist is not going to do that.
You do not need to. You can cause adverse effects. Can animals and pets sense demonic and spirits? Yes, they can.
I don't know if they can tell the difference, but they know something's there that we don't, because I got one dog that there, and it makes me laugh because I brought him to Italy with me. I've had him for 19 years. Ron's seen him, Spike.
Yeah.
There's times that, like, well, I've gone and done exorcisms that I've tried to come back into the house and he's tried to bite me.
Mm-hmm.
And other things that, well, I went off into back to my
y'all need
back to the monastery and stuff, and I did certain things to cleanse myself, and went back to the house, and then he didn't try to bite me again. So that's
right. Y'all got to think he's putting himself in a situation that the priest is the only one that can actually get himself out of it. And that is
sometimes you can't, because the movie The Rite, and that's actually a true story.
That is true.
Actually, one of our priests, Father Kenneth Torres, he actually lives not far from the priest, the young priest in the movie. That actual man lives in California and is part of the Catholic Church there. And I believe he's still an exorcist. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he's in California. I'm not sure if Ken's ever reached out to him or not. But I know he's not far from living. They live rather close to each other, from what I understand.
Well, that's good job, Nicole. You found out that one of your dogs is sensitive to spirits. That's good.
Bring him with you.
Good. See, all 4 of them are, but 3 of them try to turn it off. One of them is just wandering like, I need to be paying more attention to this. This is different. That's what that is. You know, all 4 of them can actually sense that, but 3 of them try to turn it off, and 1 of them doesn't.
Did you see the little dog that King posted?
Right there. Yeah, I actually
that's King's dog.
At the first video where a dog is following something creeping through the wall. And I mean, this is real. This is real. And animals do sense it a lot more than people do. Because
it's like Ron, remember Buddy? That lab I had?
Yeah.
Remember that one day? Ron came over to my house one day and we were sitting there. It wasn't too long after my friend had passed away. My one friend Scott had passed away, remember? And for some reason, we all know Buddy was just standing at the doorway of my front room. It was just staring in there.
Yeah.
And we had figured it was a friend of ours that passed away in our house. And we probably, for like a month, Buddy just would go in there and just stare at stuff. And we figured it might have been a spirit. Might not have been, but that's what Buddy did.
So animals can get possessed?
I don't know.
That's a tricky one right there.
That's a tricky question, really, because
too late. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, it's nothing that I've ever been told about, and it's never been in any teachings that I've studied.
I'll tell you, there's a legend in South Carolina about one. It's called the Goshen Hound in Sumter.
Yep.
The Goshen Hound in Sumter had a master that was hung, and it's just really speculation about why the guy.
They're trying to say he turned his dog into a hellhound or something, wasn't it, Ron?
Yeah. Well, the hound stayed with the body, and later on somebody showed and couldn't end up getting towards that body to take it down. The dog wouldn't let him. I think that's the story. And ever since every time somebody goes towards that area, the Goshen Hound will show up. Now it's shown up on the street right next to where that is, and jump through people's cars. And it has shown up in a cemetery down the road. It's shown up at a couple of people's backyards. And
Cujo.
it is scared a couple of people.
Nicole said Cujo.
Yep.
You know what? I never actually really watched that movie.
Cujo?
Yeah, never really watched it. Man, I train dogs. I'm afraid if I watch that, one of my dogs will like watch me watching it and be like trying to do that.
You don't see that. You'd be training them up the wrong way there. He trains dogs defense. Not a good movie for that.
If I watch Cujo and I end up getting bit, it's your guys' fault. 100%. I'm gonna blame Nicole. It'd be Nicole's fault if I get bit. I'm gonna watch it now. I'm gonna lock all the dogs up first. I'm gonna make sure they're out of the room.
Yeah, make sure they got a pretty good, thick, thorough anchor chain lockdown tied to probably a center block would probably help you out right there. Just
my dogs could probably drag a center block across the house. You know that, right?
I know, big doggies. Yeah. All right, but yeah, like Holden was saying earlier. Now this is a very touchy subject because there are people in the field. They're wanting to get involved and utilize their skills and going in towards these areas with paranormal groups. Now, a real demonic case needs nobody there doing any magic or occult rituals. But I will say that there are a lot of angry spirits. 9 times
there are,
but maybe I'd say like maybe let's say 6 to 7 times out of 10, it's just an angry spirit. And a lot of the other 5th dimension, 3rd dimension, 4th dimension type of entities can show up more with using Ouija boards. But even that right there, like we're saying, we're trying to fight something that's a religious battle, and you're not.
You do not bring the occult into a religious battle.
That, yeah, it can be very dangerous. What you think is help can all of a sudden shift,
backfire on us.
Yeah, it can shift. It can cause an adverse effect for you or the people involved or the priest that's involved or the paranormal group.
Now, I'm not going to say the priest's name because I'm just not going to do that. But Ron knows it because you were there when I talked to my one friend. You know what I'm talking about. We're not going to say his name either to protect him. But there was a priest that had actually used somebody to declare themselves a quote-unquote witch during exorcisms. Not only did a number of families, I'm not going to say how many, end up adversely affecting, and not only did the demons and the quote-unquote possession not go away, but it got worse. Not only that, but now said quote-unquote exorcist and quote-unquote priest is now considered a heretic among other priests.
And he's also charged for the exorcisms. That's not good either.
Yeah, you should never, ever charge for an exorcist. I don't care what anybody says.
It's just not a righteous man to do that.
Now, King wanted to know, here's one good one. Do I agree the Catholic Church has abandoned the right of exorcism over the years? Not so much have they abandoned it, but more
to that.
Yeah, they don't speak of it in public, and they're less likely to send a priest out to check things out without absolute proof.
They're going to want to cut
now. It all depends though, because that's here. Now in Italy, it's a lot different. I mean, if you go to the Catholic Church, they'll tell you to go somewhere, because that's honestly the head exorcist for the Catholic Church is in Italy, in Rome. And I mean, there's school of exorcism in Rome. So they really abandoned it? No, because they do the school of exorcism and all that, which if you're not part of the Catholic Church, yes, you can still go to that school of exorcism, but you have to be sponsored by a church or a bishop, or by a church with a priest in one of your churches, or a bishop, in order to go to that school. Like myself and Father Torres have been sponsored to go to it.
Would sage work to calm things down?
No, not, and I wouldn't use it to the sheer fact of that's, in the Catholic religion, that's considered an occult thing. Now there's different incenses and whatnot that I do use, but that's it's different. It's not sage. And the way people get mad when I say this, now the sage work sometimes, but from my experience and from people that I know that are other clergy that have used it, it only works, as far as we're concerned, is when it's in the air. And once you leave, we've been told that the activity starts right back. So does it work? Yes and no.
It does. It gives you a 2 to 3 hour window of an opportune moment to clear the house. And
there you go.
Okay, that's what that stuff was meant for. Specifically, it gives you a window of about.
Did Ron freeze? Ron, you there? I don't know if I lost Ron or I got lost or.
I'm good.
Good. Now you are. Yeah, you lost you for a minute there, buddy.
Yeah.
But actually, Nicole, there's things that you can look up. I got it from. I can't remember exactly where I got it online. I want to say Amazon or somewhere else, but you can get different types of incenses. Actually, the best place to get it is holyart.com. So you can get the incense, like incense of St. Michael, the different pontifical incenses. And actually, like when you see during the Catholic Church, during the Mass, you see them walking down the aisle and they're swinging the little metal thing, and you see all the smoke coming out of it. That's actually incense that they're burning in there. And they do that when they bring it down through the church and then they incense the altar. That's actually to ward off demonic spirits during the Mass. That's what the incense is used for.
Yeah, you got to push all those dark entities away, and sage is one of those things that can do that. Specifically, you only get a window, though. You get one window of opportunity with that. I've even seen it locked down some. I've seen it locked down quite a few, actually. Back in 2009,
Thanks, Nicole.
Where I saw holy water evaporating off a 15-year-old kid's head.
Yep.
It evaporated right off.
I've had it before, right through it. It was when I was actually assisting an exorcist. And he wanted to prove something to me pretty much. And he was like, hey, see that holy water there? I'm like, yeah. He goes, throw it on that door. I said, okay. I threw it on the door and it evaporated as soon as it hit the door. It smoked and evaporated.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I wet my pants.
That's what happens in the real deal, man.
But it was in Italy, and it was in actually it was in an old rectory. It was old like it was legend, quote unquote, to have they'd had this where they had kept like people, clergy that had become possessed. They would lock them down in like the catacombs of this building, like, and that was the door to those catacombs, and pretty creepy.
Yeah, man. It's a good little trick of the trade to learning exactly when you're needing to bring in some heavier guns.
And like in general, if you any type of incense you use on the Catholic side, pontifical incense, I would recommend the incense of St. Michael, because when you burn the incense, it's going to bring that archangel and the spirit around.
Yeah.
And but that's only while it's burning, while you're burning it in that area. But see, they're a different type of incense. They're not like incense sticks. The incense that we use, you actually get the little coals like they sell in like the hookah stores and whatnot. Yep. You get ones like that. Actually, they sell it at holyart.com. They sell it right with the coals, but it's called resin incense. And it looks like little beads and stuff. What you do is you light the coals and then you put the resin incense on top of it, and it'll melt and then give off smoke. But yeah, it doesn't come in like incense sticks and whatnot. So if you're gonna do it,
You have to have a torch to keep that going.
Am I familiar with The Last Rite? No, I've never seen the movie The Last Rite. I've seen The Rite, but never The Last Rite.
Yes, I have seen that.
Is it good? I have to look it up. Is it good?
Well, it's
what is
interesting. I'm telling you, it's
What is
interesting.
it?
There's I think that's the one where there's a guy that's wanting to act like an exorcist going in, and
No, that was The Last Exorcism, Ron. I think you're talking about. I've seen that one, and that was this one. That was some Cottonwood or something like that. He was a preacher. I think we lost Ron again. We are having technical difficulties tonight. I see.
I'm back.
Oh no, that's The Rite. Anthony Hopkins is in it. That's The Rite King. Yeah, I've seen that one. That's the one we were talking about earlier. With that young priest from that movie actually lives in California near one of my priests. Yep. Yeah, that's called The Rite, and that's actually based off a true story. It's based off a true story. Not everything in that movie was 100% true, but yes, that was based off a true story. And it was actually, the priest wasn't actually that we got possessed. So who Anthony Hopkins played in the movie, he wasn't like a Catholic priest, quote unquote. He was one of the Jesuits, like back in the day. And he ended up getting possessed after battling a certain entity for a long time. He ended up getting possessed himself, and it was pretty wild. I mean, but yeah, that was the young man. They actually from the United States actually sent him over there. He was actually living in California.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, these exorcists fight these things off.
The one you're thinking about, Ron, is The Last Exorcism, Ron. The one you're thinking about,
where that guy's acting
like
like
the Cottonwood. Is that preacher? Is a Baptist preacher, something Cottonwood or something like that? They called him out. I can't remember exactly, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's the one you're thinking of. The Last Exorcism. Yeah, I've seen that one. That's. It was supposed to look like it was real, but it was really a movie.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Blair Witch and whatnot, you know.
It's.
It was one of those. It was one of those.
And there's quite a few of those, like Cloverfield style. Following with the camera, scared out of every single turn, you know.
What do I think of TV shows showing exorcisms? I think it is blasphemy, if you want to know me honestly, because one,
watching can be in danger from doing that.
Yes, you could be in danger from watching it. Yeah, I'm talking about real ones. I look at it like blasphemy. I mean, one, it's not safe for people to be watching it because whether we like to think of it or not, dude, demons are not bound by the rules of metaphysics and science and everything else like we are. They can do whatever the hell they want, pretty much. Yeah. So if they feel like going through the TV, they can do that.
They can do that. They can transfer, guys.
No, I'm not. Terry Yours asked one with Ronald Doe. Well, I'm gonna have to look that one up now.
Oh, Roland Doe.
Roland Doe. Did I say it wrong? Oh, Roland. I don't have my glasses on. So Roland. Yeah, Roland. Okay.
Yeah,
it does say Roland. I put my glasses on. Now I can read it.
Think about this, guys. This is real talk right here. Think about this.
I've never even heard of that one.
Being televised, for those people that are actually being televised at that moment, think about their sake. You know, nobody really wants to be on film when
Ron,
they're with that part of the
Ron, I know exactly what she's talking about now. The guy, what Talia's talking about. There's a TV show called The Real Exorcist, quote unquote, and he's not a priest. For one, it's a guy going around calling himself an exorcist. And yes, and he charges people, from what I heard, going around saying he's quote unquote helping people. Is he? We don't know. But is it real? I mean, that's all, I guess, what people want to think of it. But it's, I don't care. You can buy the Roman rituals all you want, say them all you want. Unless you're a priest, you're just speaking words.
But is that something you really want to be watching on TV, sitting in your home? You're wanting to see somebody that's dealing with something that's that bad?
I've seen that one, Ron, and it's not real. If you looked at it, brother, it's not anybody that's really been just truly possessed.
Well, you know,
If you really look at it and you've really been to a real exorcism, you'll know that it's fugazi. You know what I mean?
thought of it though, man. I mean, think about it. Like these people are dealing with the worst moment of their life, and somebody's sticking a camera in their face. The audacity.
Now
To,
I'll tell you,
the,
do we record things and film things as exorcists? No, I don't film things. I do not film it.
we have
Bob Larson. Don't get me started on Bob Larson. He says he's done all this and that and this, but I mean, he can say whatever he wants. People can get mad at me all they want. Bob can get mad at me all he wants.
for reason for us.
Anybody that's going to televise themselves to gain for monetary gain and use that, to me, it is in itself wrong.
They're losing their righteousness doing that.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, myself and any exorcist that I know, I'll tell you right now, I guarantee you, no one that is a real exorcist, well, we're not going to charge you for one, because it's blasphemy. It is. It is truly blasphemy to charge somebody for an exorcism. I will never do that.
To take money from
I'll tell you this. I know exorcists, guys who were with the church for years, that won't even write about it until they retired. Because anything in monetary gain while you're still an active exorcist, you're not supposed to do that.
And release that you've been putting away.
It's just. I mean, there's a reason that we take holy orders, and you know, one of the holy orders we take it's you know, it's the order of poverty. You know, we're not supposed to make a lot of money.
Now, whenever we go in and do our investigations, we record, but it's for scientific purpose. It's for the research.
Well, I'll tell you, Ron, I do record in exorcisms, but I audio record them. I do record exorcisms, Ron, but I don't video record. I do audio recordings, and that's just for posterity and to save myself. Say I was called into court or something was called, just like the Catholic Church does it too. All exorcists record it audioly, and that's for proof and for our own internal records. And in case, you know, it's not saying we go help somebody. We could, who knows? Just like that happened in the Emily Rose case, we could get brought into court and prosecuted for this.
Yeah, you got to be protected, especially nowadays with everybody being so sue happy. All the time, people are getting sued. Like paranormal investigators are supposed to make sure that they get a contract signed from the deed owner of the property. Otherwise, they go out there, they're trying to help a renter, and that owner is somewhere in the mix. That property management's going, wait a minute, you're trying to stop me from making money where? Huh? Do what? No, not like this.
Yeah, and they'll get sued.
So you have to be protective and recording everything to make sure that you got everything. You know,
and I'll tell you this, during an exorcism, I'll have myself, a priest, one or two clergymen, and also a medical doctor to make sure that that person is in relatively good medical condition before and during and after the exorcism. So I can't ever get prosecuted for what they would call it. I don't know what they call it in the law. There's they got all kinds of different case law on it, but we use medical doctors, so they can't say that we didn't medically provide for them during the exorcism. So yes, I do actually have a medical doctor when I go to do an exorcism.
You got to have a medic on hand just to make sure that they're properly taken care of.
Oh no, Ron, I'm talking to an actual doctor, brother. Not like a paramedic, like an actual doctor. Yes, sir. I got two that work with me.
Yeah. It gets real. You got to be on the safe side, making sure everything's taken care of properly.
Well, I say that a lot because usually people that are truly possessed won't eat, they won't drink. So yeah, you really got to be careful with how long and what you do with things, because people, man, they like the one they tried to sue those one priest. I can't remember what case it was, but they tried to sue him for the girl had malnutrition, and tried to sue the priest for it, saying that they didn't provide her with food and water or whatever during the exorcism. And that's why we record what we record.
Malnutrition, everything else comes to play. the things that you got to think of in that situation, and being that one to handle that, you got to have a huge checklist knocked off. Everything under the sun. It all ends up needing to happen. That checklist needs to be there for a reason. Knocking out everything that can happen.
Well, you think about it, Ron. When we do it, when I send you to do the first initial interview, what do I got? You got 3 pages.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
stuff.
Yeah, it's a long list,
and I'm not the only one that does it. That's why I said, man, we're not the Tom Michael or I'm St. Michael the Archangel. We're not the only one that does it. I mean, there's a lot of other orders out there. I know. Father Enright. I know he's a great man too. He's a good guy, and he does the same thing we all do, and they all have their own checklists. I mean, we don't just go in there and I think they're possessed. There's an actual checklist that we go through.
That's right. Now, talk about this real quick, the destruction of religious objects in that situation. When you're walking in to do an exorcism, they have a crucifix on the wall.
I've actually had it happen where I have gone and I have turned I walked in to turn the crucifix is upside down. I have actually walked over there. I turned it back around, turned around, walked 3 feet, turned back around, and it was upside down again. Right before I went to touch it again, it fell and shattered into pieces.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
And it's called an aversion to religious objects. And anybody that is truly possessed is going to have that. Like I'll tell you this, the biggest one, easiest one about it is that we've actually had it happen where we tried to give somebody the communion, and they actually haven't been truly possessed. It actually like almost chokes them. They can't swallow it because it's consecrated, it's holy.
Yeah, and just before a dark entity can end up hopping in and channeling like that, in the oppression stages, they can drink holy water, but whenever they end up getting channeled,
they'll throw up.
So that's another little trick of the trade for our paranormal guys going in. Is there a place where one is most likely to find a demon? Satanic Church. They're the ones pulling the rituals out of their butts. So yeah.
I don't know. It all depends. I mean, there's an actual place in Africa that, and people laugh when I say it, actually, because they actually based a movie off it. That one exorcism movie, they based off of it, where they actually found a real church like this that was built and then buried, because it was known to be a place of great demonic energy. So they built a church on top of it to try to subdue the quote-unquote demonic beast, and then they buried it all so it could never be found again.
It's kind of like...
So, I mean, it all depends. Is there a place more likely to find one than another? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. I'm not 100% sure on that one, to be honest with you.
Hey, the Knights of the Templar was fighting in an area that specifically you're not supposed to be walking around in to this day, right?
Which one?
Knights of the Templar battles.
There's been battle. Yeah, you forget though. They battled the Crusades. Well, how many? Like both Crusades. Yeah. There was more than one, but you forget they fought all over Europe. So I mean, that's kind of
some places that nobody.
Oh, you're talking about like Jerusalem. That's the Holy Land.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to fight on the Holy Land. That's why they make a real big. That's why the real big deal about like anybody. They won't let anybody like go underneath the Jerusalem and the catacombs and like take anything out of it, like any archaeologist or anything, because that's actually a highly contested area by many religions, not just one. Many religions. All of them fight over that area. So to keep them all from fighting, they all have their little holy place within Jerusalem, and nobody's allowed to do pretty much anything. Is there still bad stuff that goes on in that area? Of course.
Yeah, I know historians and archaeologists that have been in those areas that dealt with things firsthand and came back asking for help because of it. They messed up. They went to the wrong places, and a whole bunch of bad things happened just because they went there. They was trying to uncover things that only a holy man should even have their hands around.
Now, I mean, it all depends. I mean, I know we could even find more today because there's more archaeologists out there today, looking for things. But think about this. I was in the Marine Corps, so I saw this firsthand. When I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in Iraq. When we were in Iraq, when we were going through the desert, we actually had found where like terrorist units had found like stuff from the past, like old Mesopotamia, like archaeologists, the stuff that archaeologists should have been at and should have, if not took care of, at least, like gone through it and documented it for posterity, you know what I mean? But they've gone through and destroyed these areas. Actually, like old Mesopotamian ruins from way back when in Iraq, the terrorists went through and actually destroyed everything they could, and stuff like that. So you never know. There could be stuff that was made specifically for demons to be in, but we don't know because there's been many things throughout the decades and years destroyed due to war.
Yep, it's very true. It's very true. And physical changes affecting a person.
Oh, physical changes. Physical changes. I got some.
It's like face swelling up, like a fish all of a sudden.
They can
colors.
They could possess inhuman strength or precognition, which that's the ability to predict the future.
There you go.
Or retrocognition, that's the ability to know about past events that they should have no worldly knowledge of. Like they could tell you what happened in like what you did in high school to somebody or something. Like, Now, but there's also one thing that it's a change in the voice.
Yeah.
Or seem like more than one voice is coming out of the same person.
Yeah, multiple voices as well.
And here's another one that they move in unusual ways. Like they seem like more to glide across the floor instead of walk.
Yeah, that one's a doozy. When you see that for the first time, you'll freak.
Or writing or symbols.
Brown pants.
Or when writing or symbols could appear on the body in forms of welts and scratches, like different types of religious symbols and whatnot scratched into their bodies. It looked like they disappear out of nowhere. Just you look at them, not there, blink your eyes, it's there.
That's right. I've got photos of things like that. Yep.
And here's another one: if animals seem to be frightened of the person for no apparent reason. And when I mean frightened, I mean like pretty much trying to like rip their own head off to get out of the collar to get away from the person.
Now precognition. Let's go to that. Let's talk about not a case. It wasn't a case, but about 6 months ago, if you remember, we had to help somebody that was a psychic medium that actually had something channeled through them that was not their regular spirit guide. Do you remember that?
That was like 6 months. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Exactly, it was.
That was a while ago.
Let's talk about that real quick before we end the show. Let's let everybody know. All right, now these psychics are always wanting to have like a spirit guide on the other side, well, not all of them. I'm pretty sure they're all different, but this one had a spirit guide that was constantly talking and letting her know things that was going to happen. And she contacted me and said that pretty soon she was going to have to boot scoop boogie, pack up all of her bags and grab up emergency essentials from the grocery store. And she had called out that
it was her and her daughter, right?
It was just her more.
But her daughter was there. Her daughter lived with her, remember? Yeah, I remember. I remember them. Them.
All right. Now, the one thing that we need to all walk away with this on is that sometimes those spirit guides that are on the opposite side
are not who they say they are.
They disappear too and get taken away, and somebody else shows up. You're not talking to the same one anymore. There's a wrong thing right there that happens, and they have to know those signs towards when things have changed, towards where they're not talking to their regular spirit guides.
All right. Well, Ron, we run out of time today, and to close the show, I'm gonna close with a prayer, St. Michael. Just like we do everything I do with the order. So that's how we're gonna close our show out. And St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in the battle, be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do you, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Thank
And you know, we'll see you guys on the second Thursday and fourth Thursday of every month. So I think it'd be a week or two before we talk to y'all again. But you guys have a great evening.
Yeah. Stay sharp, stay smart, stay safe, stay vigilant.
Hi, I'm Archbishop Matthew RAWCLIFFE. Please join me and some great guests as we take a journey where I will spread positive and enlightened messages to educate, heal, and help others as we chat about various subjects with the help of God. Tune in every second and fourth Thursdays at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on Paranormal King Radio Network.